Well, it might just be the video you've always dreamed of. Today we're going to talk about another popular fantasy trope, the prophetic dream. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, this is Classic Fantasy Comeback. I'm Steven, and I'll give you a fun fact. This is the 4th time I'm filming this video. That was mostly thanks to my phone's camera dying on me halfway into each completed take. And rather than being aggravated or infuriated, I chose to take a happy approach and reshoot this just for you. Now, the truth is, the prophetic dream is actually one of my favorite tropes. The reason being is that it nicely frames the story, and that's why a lot of people use it. And when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of people. It has seen use everywhere from the Arthurian legends to the Legend of Zelda series. But is the trope now cliché, or does it just need some touching up? Let's take a look at what the trope is all about, and then we'll get into some methods to fix it up. So there's not a whole lot to say about the prophetic dream. It's a very simple but effective trope. It starts off by framing the story, and how it does that is it takes the dreamer, now it could be the main character or it could be a side character, and they see a vague dream that involves the hero, the villain, and the coming conflict. That is helpful because it tells the reader what to expect without spoiling the whole story. Almost always the plot will revolve around the dream, and that can take form as deciphering what the dream means or acting on what the dream means, if somebody instantly understood what the dream was. The last part that sort of completes the prophetic dream is that the dream signifies something that's going to happen, which does happen. Now, if it doesn't happen, your prophetic dream just turned into a pathetic dream, because it's just an ordinary dream about nonsense. Kind of like the dream I had the other night that I was fighting giant spiders in the basement. So that's basically all there is to the prophetic dream. Now, why is it considered cliché? Well, for all the reasons I just named, the truth is, if you use the prophetic dream, you're probably telling the same story that's been told time and time again since the Arthurian legends. But never fear, because I have 3 methods that you can use to completely revamp the trope and use it in your story. So, here we go. Okay, method number 1 is the mood. We always start with the mood here, because the mood is usually what creates the cliché atmosphere. I always say there's no cliché tropes, just cliché writing, and that's true. When it comes to the mood, the dream is usually very grand. It's usually the dreamer has the dream and, I just had a prophetic dream. Who does that? Try making the importance of the dream less obvious to the dreamer as much as the reader. And by doing that, you kind of remove the prophetic part, even though it still is something that's going to happen. So if let's just say the dreamer sees a dark armored knight and thinks nothing of it. It was just a weird dream. Later on, your villain in disguise as a dark-clad man shows up, and you start to see, oh, wait a second, that's what the dream meant. Ooh, that doesn't work. Here's another fun trick. Don't share the dream with anyone. The dreamer has the dream, and they don't think much of it. Now, usually in these stories, the dreamer runs around and tells all their friends about the dream they had, and how it's a prophecy, and how it's going to happen, and blah, 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 blah. Instead of that, have the dreamer just keep the dream to themselves, like most people do. And that way, even as these things start to transpire, it's kind of like a little secret between the dreamer and the reader, that you know that something's going to happen based on this dream, but it's just kind of fun to watch it unfold without anybody knowing what's going on. so far so good. We've had no camera issues, and we might actually make it through this one. The next method we can use to revamp the trope is to change the goal. Now, the goal is another great place to start because the goal is what everybody else is doing. So if you can change what you're doing with the trope, then you're on your way to reinventing the trope. So, like I mentioned earlier, the prophetic dream always frames the story. By that I mean it starts the story. Actually, the story almost always starts with the dream, with no context. And that's for dramatic effect and plunge the reader into the story. But it's almost always about the main plot. And if you want to switch it up, try making the dream be about a lesser aspect of the main plot. And picture the cog in a machine. You know, it's important, but it's not the machine. It's a part of the machine. So rather than having a prophetic dream about the hero slaying the dragon, have a prophetic dream about the sword the hero needs to slay the dragon. Or a villager who knows about the sword that the hero needs to slay the dragon. Or the villager with the sword for the hero and the dragon. You get the idea. Try to make it be about a lesser aspect of the plot, but no less important. Or take it a step further. Try making the prophetic dream be about a side plot. And you'll trick the reader that way because they'll be wondering how the prophetic dream pertains to the main plot line, whereas it'll actually reveal itself much sooner and nobody will be expecting it. And finally, we come to our third method, the outcome. Now, as we said earlier, the outcome of the prophetic dream almost always has to come true, but not in every case. And there's a few tricks you can use to sort of surprise your reader, even if they know that you're using that trope. One such technique would be to sprinkle in parts of the dream that never will happen. They were just there. And when your reader sees that these things aren't happening, they might start to think it was just an ordinary dream. They might start to think that the dreamer was overreacting, that you were trying to subvert the trope, whereas in actuality you are using the trope. You're just tricking everybody because you're so clever. It's kind of like the red herring that's used in mystery novels. You know, the false clues to misguide the reader. Think along those terms. And of course, there's always, and I know this is done a lot, and it's part of the fun of the prophetic dream, but it bears repeating. Make the dream appear to suggest that this is going to happen, but it really means that this is going to happen. You think of an alternative interpretation of the dream. So you see the hero slaying the dragon. You would assume that the dragon's the bad guy and the hero's the good guy. But what if that was reversed? What if the dragon represents the good guy and the hero was really the villain who's disguised as a good guy in your plot? Something along those lines will really go far in utilizing what the prophetic dream trope is all about. And that about wraps up another video. In conclusion, I would say the prophetic dream is still very viable. It's by no means cliche, and if you want to use it, you should use it. You know, it's completely up to you. It's your story. Like I always say, there's no cliche trope, just cliche writing. And that's what we're here to fix. Thank you so much for watching. It means so much to me, and so do the likes. And if you'd like to subscribe, that means a ton to me. I mean, I can't even express how much it means when I see a new subscriber. If you really want to help out this channel, and me, and another writer, share this video with someone else. That will help YouTube see that this video is worth sharing with everyone, and it'll also help your writer friend maybe see that there's more than one way to do something. Thanks again for watching. I'm Steven, and this is Classic Fantasy Comeback. We'll see you next time.